I still haven't gotten the carburetor running right, and there's something with the choke, and the choke adjusts how much air goes into the carburetor. That's what it does. In normal circumstances, it should be fully open when the engine has reached operating temperature. But in this case, it needs to stay partially closed. So as you can see, it really likes this 45-degree position. When I closed it, it would stall the engine, and when I opened it all the way, it would also stall the engine. So there's still something not right here. Now, I did change the main jet to a smaller main jet. The size I have on it now is a 120 metric. Not sure what that's equivalent to in standard, but before I used to have a size 53 standard, and I went a bit smaller. And the if you watch my previous video about the symptoms of too big a main jet or too much fuel into the engine, I said that when there's too much fuel going in through the main jet, when you close the idle mixture screw, it doesn't stall the engine. Right now, it's still not stalling the engine, but it is lowering the RPMs quite a bit. So that kind of tells me that I'm on the right track, and we probably have to go a size smaller still. That might fix. Before it wasn't. I would turn the main jet. I would turn the idle adjustment screw in or out, and it wouldn't do absolutely anything. So that meant that there was still too much fuel. Now it's actually doing something, so that there's lesser amount of fuel, enough to actually for the screw to actually make a difference. But since it's still not stalling the engine, I'm pretty sure that I have to go a size smaller. Now I have a size 115. So right now there's a size 120, but I've got a 115. But I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. But I am going to try putting it in, see what happens. There is a noticeable difference in the fuel usage. It's using a lot less fuel already. But I really want to get this tuned up properly. Now, I think it does need a valve adjustment. So that might be a contributing factor, but I did have to turn the distributor slower. And I always used to get confused. Usually people refer to the distributor as, adjusting the distributor to retarded or advanced. But really I tuned this engine by ear. I don't have the equipment to do the fine tuning, if you will. I don't have the equipment to do it that way, but I think I can get a pretty good adjustment by ear. But basically, retarded is slow and advanced is faster. So advanced, when you turn it advanced, it will increase the RPM, and when you turn it retard, when you retard the engine, it'll go slower. So retard slower. That's how I remember it now. So I did have to lower the engine a bit because I was getting rattling at high RPMs. So that told me that there was too much oxygen or not enough fuel at high RPMs. So, lowering the distributor, slowing down the RPMs, slowing down the distributor, as I like to call it, did fix that. But I'm hoping that once I get the right size main jet, I'll be able to get everything running properly as it should be, including the RPMs. The RPMs on idle are still extremely high on this engine, probably twice as high as they're supposed to be, which I don't like. But there's the whole problem with the linkage as well. And it's not really working, like it gets stuck, doesn't come back properly. I have to reach in, pull it out with my hand. But anyways, let's not make this video too long. I just wanted to show you that choke and what it does, what effects the choke has on the running of the engine. So I hope that shows you. So basically, you close the choke, you get more of a rich mixture. You allow less air to go in. So basically, the fuel amount is always the same going into the engine idle. It only changes when you accelerate. But even that, that's a. But anyways, if you keep the RPM at idle, I'm not changing the amount of fuel. The only way I'm changing the mixture is by changing the amount of air going in. So when I open the choke, that allowed more air to go into, and when I close it, that allows less air to go into. Now it kind of like that position at 45. So if I closed it, the engine was too hot for it to have too much of a rich mixture, too much fuel. But if I open it, then there's too much air. So I'm pretty much right between too much air and too little air. I'm not sure 100% exactly what that means. And again, I've got a vacuum gauge right there as well, so that plays. You really want to get the maximum amount of vacuum possible. Now this carburetor here, again, the size of this hole here also plays an important part in the vacuum and the adjustment of the engine. Now, since it was used, this carburetor is not really for this engine, but since it was used in the same size engine, it should be compatible. Same displacement, pretty much a very similar engine. Very, very similar. So I think it is. What I have to do is go a smaller size main jet. Still have to go a size smaller. Maybe a few sizes smaller. I'm not sure yet. I'll just have to experiment with it, I guess. So that's my video for now. I should also say that I'm beginning to like these automatic choke carburetors less and less. With the manual choke, you have complete control, whereas here, as you can see, you don't. There's vacuum that moves it. There's the temperature. There's, the pipe. Maybe it's not getting enough heat. If the pipe is too long, there's too many variables. I like having complete control of the vehicle. So it's like an airplane, right? Airplanes have manual chokes. Small aircraft do. So that probably be a video for another day. Change out the carburetor. There's another carburetor, Holley 1909, that is also compatible, and we'll try that some other time. I think it's a better carburetor, but we'll try it some other time. So yeah, I'll end this video here, but I will have to study what because really I think that it would have to be open, because I still think there's too much fuel going into the carburetor. So theoretically, opening up the choke should correct the mixture, should tend to correct the mixture. But it doesn't seem to be how that works. Now, that could be because too much fuel affects the vacuum, so maybe it gets too much or too little vacuum. So I guess we'll have to do some more studying and experimenting.